That was so long. That he the man set another record for length. He talked for 2 hours. And what did he say? He said a lot of things. You say a lot of things. You say a lot of things. But what is he talking about? And as our newly minted prophet of our time, Kendrick Lamar, has told us, what they talking about? They talking about nothing. They talking about nothing. What they talking about? They talking about nothing. They talking about nothing. Hood politics, y'all! Oh man, what the hell is you talking about? Listen, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. As far as announcements, let's get these out the way. I'm going to start rolling out a ton of music. So please, if you can, join the Patreon, which is the Red Couch Pod. Revealing a lot of music there. Start being way more active on that, where I'm like doing just hangouts and stuff like that, and I also do like consulting sessions. They're like, you got some music, or some pod ideas. I'm totally down to like talk to you, hear what you got, see how I can help. Obviously, don't be weird. Don't waste both of our times. But like, talk to your boy. Talk to me nice. Also, there's a whole other merch store there that you can grab like exclusive stuff, man. So that's me plugging my stuff. That's me plugging my pluggables, as Robert has coined. But yeah, who got the friend that just likes to hear himself talk? That like, here's the thing. I am very guilty. I am one who will admit that I like stages. I like microphones. I enjoy this. I enjoy being on stage. I enjoy, a lot of people fear public speaking. I enjoy it. I feel like it's an art form, especially when I know that I know what I'm talking about. I enjoy, when I'm in the mood for it, being at the party and being the funniest dude in the room. I enjoy that. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy, even like the improv of it all, being able to yes and with somebody who's like really good at the slick talk. Like for me, I enjoy that. But I also can read a room. I also know it's probably time to shut up. I also feel like I got a pretty decent capo meter. You feel me? And I feel like I could tell when somebody know I'm capping. You know where I'm going with this. We're talking about this impromptu State of the Union address. Now, listen, this wasn't a State of the Union address, but there's a lot of things going on here. And what I want to do today is not so much go bar for bar with this, because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of shows. I know they did on Even More News on our friends, Cody and Katie. They did the bar for bar situation. I feel like y'all could go get that somewhere else. I'm not sure that's what y'all come to me for. Maybe you do, because we just finished going through. Shout out, thank you for everybody who responded to the survey we put out. I appreciate y'all responding to that, giving me some pointers as to like what parts of the show you like, what kind of shows you like. A lot of good feedback, a lot of great ideas. The main takeaway I got is like, as long as I stay like as current as I possibly can. The biggest compliment y'all gave me, which I appreciate so much, is that like you say what you like about the show is I'm able to take stuff that seems much more complicated and make it understandable. And that's called teaching. So I super thankful for that. That's my strength. I feel like that's my wheelhouse. You also said, which really surprised me, that y'all not really interested in guests, like especially like the what was rated the least were the Terraform episodes. I was like, Oh, word? Like, y'all, y'all don't want to hear from people doing good? Okay. So it is what it is. I appreciate that. You also asked for more stuff about like indigenous experiences, which I mean, touche. That's actually a great idea. I could stand to talk about that a lot more, you know? So thank you for that. Thank you for responding, telling me the type of things that you need. So now I know what you're coming to me for. So one thing that I also wanted to take away, that I took away from that, is like okay, so what do we do? Like, give me some action items. What am I supposed to do with this? Now that I understand it, what am I supposed to do with this? And sometimes, I mean, you kind of be right. Like, I actually don't know. You know what I mean? Or I'm finding this out, or discovering really at the same pace and speed you are. You know, like, I'm not actually an expert. I'm a citizen like y'all are. I enjoy the teaching aspect of it, you know, and the translation, and hopefully we can find out what we need to do together. This is communal. You know, I feel like our answer is communal. I feel like our answer is mutual, and that, like, just the idea that one person being the fountainhead of all the answers, yeah, that's what we dealing with in the White House. Is like, and it don't need to work like that. I ain't got the answers, Sway. I don't have all the answers. You know, I want to learn and grow with y'all. That being said, what I want to talk about for this just marathon. Now, granted, if you grew up in black church, you familiar with pastor just lavishing. That man is still talking, but at least in black church, there's organ breaks. There's musical moments that happen in between that that man ain't just literally preaching for 2 hours. You know, there's an A and B selection. There's a praise break. We do be there forever. But now there's a actual beautiful tradition. Seriously, there's actually a reason why historically black churches function like that, and why that became part of our sort of cultural experience, to where like service be real long with a lot of music and stuff like that. Some of it is like humans intuitively knowing that you learn better through song and repetition, you know, and it's a way that, you know, how in academia or in religious studies, you would call it a contemplative practice, you know, or a meditation, you know, or, you know, in the East, these are mantras, but just us repeating these, you know, choruses and repeating these refrains like, be ye holy for I am holy, you know, and making things rhyme. Like, if I were to say God is good, all the black people knew what to say. And all the time, all the black people knew what to say. These recitings of these are the ways that we kind of catechized ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So there's a tradition of that. But I'm saying, we know what it means for the man to stay up there and be like, yo, he got my sister used to say, the spirit of long wind. He got the spirit of long wind. Now, you know, now my time is short. You know, now I know y'all came up here to preach me. Now I'm about done. But I got a song deep in my spirit. Just, yo, boy, I'm out now. I'm closing now. I'm gonna land the plane now. Pastor always talking about it. You know, you got another 20, 30 minutes. Then the man won't do an altar call. Then the Lord gave him a rhema word. Lord Jesus, we there all night. Don't let it be a watch night service. Okay, I am way off topic, but that Trump ran us a watch night service for his unnecessary State of the Union address. So what I want to talk about today is, like, here's some main takeaways as to like why he did this. And these are just me like reading the lick. Like, obviously I don't know what's going on in his head. I don't think anybody do, but there are some ways that you and I can like process if we understand some more like main takeaways as to like, what should we do? Right? What do I do with all this? Why did you even call this meeting? And what am I supposed to do this? Where should I be looking? And now that's me giving you game. Like, at least in my opinion, where should you be looking? But before we do that, let's just have a little fun and just throw a rock in the river. This is what I did. I threw a rock in the river and fact checked just things at random. Some of the stuff that I just felt like was the most egregious, and some of the stuff that I was just like, I'm just going to pick this sentence at random. I don't know what this is. I'm just going to check. Now, actually, before I do that, I'm going to keep pushing this back part forward. Let's just talk about some of the antics. Okay. Now, before I get to the Republican antics, can we please talk about the Democratic antics? Now, there is nothing more funny to me than a senator named Al Green. That's probably because I'm black. Every time they kept saying Representative Al Green, I just broke in the song. So in love with you. It was now him heckling, trying to hold the Donald accountable during these things, and then him getting put out. Cool, I guess. Right? Cool. Now, while that was happening, you had these other listen, let me talk to the younglings. Who of y'all have just decided was corny? No matter what they do, no matter how talented or skills they are, y'all just see him as corny. We've talked about this, at least for my gen, and I feel like some of us are kind of eating our words on that, but we just kind of decided that Nick Cannon was corny. Now, it's mainly when he does like songs, because he's a boss. Like, there's no way, like, the guy gave us Wildin' Out. Like, he is objectively one of the most successful black men in entertainment business. Objectively. We just decided he was corny. Like, at some point, I know Corday, like for the gen right under me, they used to think that like Corday was just corny. Like, and I'm like, young homie can rap, but y'all just decided he was corny. Who of y'all just decided no matter what they do, he corny or she corny? I don't know. But what I'm getting at is these Democratic stupid little signs that say that's a lie, y'all, that's corny. Now, it's true what he's saying is a lie, but that's corny. Now, why everybody dragging the Democrats? Because it's like, my nigga, what are y'all doing? If you wanted to show some sort of unity, here's a suggestion. When Al Green, still makes me giggle, got kicked out because he had the hot grits poured on him, he who has ears to hear, when Al Green got kicked out, the rest of y'all should have left, right? Because that would have been a show of solidarity, like we doing something, but y'all can't figure out what you gonna do with this dude. Now, granted, who knows what to do? This is our first fascist takeover that has worked, because during the Smedley Butler years, which we've talked about before, and we did a whole Behind the Bastards series, me and Robert, on the Smedley Butler era, who probably is one of the most dynamic characters in American history. But anyway, that's a whole other story. You should read his book, War is a Racket. It's amazing. Europe and almost all the European countries can say, guys, we've done this before. Okay? We've been here. I made this joke before. All of Europe and the rest of almost pretty much Europe, South America, the rest of the world is patting America on their shoulders like, oh, it's your first fascist takeover. Hey, you remember that, dude? You remember our first time? Yeah, I remember our first one. Like you'll be all right. But here's how you're like walking off a cliff. And we all see you walking off a cliff. But for some reason, listen, you remember being a teenager? You know a teenager? You know how you looking a teenager in the face, knowing full well that teenager ain't finna listen to you? Knowing that they about to walk head first, run full speed into a brick wall? And you like, my dude, little bro, it's a cliff right there. And what I'm trying to tell you is, and you know you looking at them knowing that they just glazed over. They all on their phone, not really paying attention. They just like, whatever, big bro, like, all right, unk. They unk you. You get unked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the girls, like, she's just being a thia right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, walk off the cliff then. is how Europe looking at America right now. Like I don't understand how y'all just, this is what we trying to tell you. Your leader putting out statements that say we are going to outlaw all illegal protests. My nigga, what the hell is an illegal protest? Though, like, what is that? So the question is, where y'all at? What are y'all, why are y'all not doing, why have y'all not figured out? And the thing is, who knows what to do? Some arguments is you should rope-a-dope him. You know what the rope-a-dope is? Who am I talking to? The rope-a-dope is like the Muhammad Ali, it's like a boxing thing where you just kind of like, you get against the rope and you let the person tire themselves out. So you block, you take the punches, you wait for the right time, and then you throw that blow, right? Because eventually the theory is that person is going to get too comfortable. The person you fight is going to get too comfortable, going to get too cocky, and their guard going to come down. But you got to wait for it, right? So you take the blows, let them tire themselves out, right? And as soon as they tired out and get sloppy, bow, catch them. That's one thought. Now, the problem with that is what those blows are is that man Harif from Columbia University with a functioning green card that just got deported because he was a part of the anti-war protests on the college campuses this past year, where ICE agents showed up and they just said, hey, your student visa's done. And he was like, I don't have a student visa because I graduated and I got a green card. Let me go get it, right? And they retained him. And then he was like, here go my green card. And they was like, your green card been canceled. It's been revoked. And he like, his lawyer like, can you show me a warrant? Hung up on the nigga. So these punches that we saying are just theories are legal citizens being deported. These punches are your eggs being $20. You understand what I'm saying? So these are your Meemaw in Toad Suck, Arkansas losing her Medicaid. Is Paw not getting his insulin no more? So these punches that we say are in theory is actual lives. You know, so it's easy to say in theory that, oh, you just need to rope-a-dope. You know what I'm saying? While the rest of us is like, help me. Another political theory is to just let it burn. Is to like, just, you know what? This what you want? That's what y'all asked for? Okay. Where essentially you treat the US government and the Republican Party like you would treat Kanye. Like, y'all, you know what, man? You got it, chief. Go ahead then. Go on, bro. You got it. Go ahead. Do you, boo-boo? And you just sit and let the country burn and be like, that's what y'all asked for. We tried to tell you. No, this is your job too. You work for the government also. So what do you do? And the answer is, I don't know. I got some ideas, but we ain't never been here before. I think it would be a good way to like go study opposition parties across the world in post-World War II Earth. They may give you some clues. Anyway. For the Democratic side, y'all got to figure out some sort of united front, because letting your mans get kicked out like that, and then y'all holding up these little corny signs, I get it. In theory, both of those things make perfect sense. And especially if you bouncing off the idea of what Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert head ass did, just yelling boo and that's a lie and say her name, just being hella unprofessional. They weaponizing the fact that you trying to follow respectability politics while they don't care about none of that. Right? That's getting weaponized on you. So you gonna have to figure out, and by you I mean us, how to deal with this thing. Now, so that's on the Democratic side. Like, my nigga, where are y'all? What was y'all doing? Hello? 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 On the Democratic side. Now, couple highlights on the Republican side before I get into the fact check it part was, first of all, the idea of bringing a little black kid that's fighting cancer and honoring him being a member of the Secret Service while actively ending cancer research is specifically diabolical to me. I am like, this is why I say facts and logics don't matter no more. Because I don't know why anybody didn't go, maybe you shouldn't, even if you own the Democratic, even if you own the Republican side, be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't, you kind of leaving yourself open for this one. Why would you put, you're actively defunding the NIH that does cancer research. My dude, why would you bring this kid? Well, because again, it don't matter. And that wasn't the point of this display. Another thing I noticed that I thought was specifically egregious was even his body language. Like, bruh was turned one way to the side because he was really only talking to his people. It was pretty obvious that he was only talking to his people, which normally in a situation like this, I don't even know why I'd use the word normal. You supposed to at least pretend like you gonna try to unify us all. But no, I ain't pretending on nothing. This what I came here to do, and I'm finna do it, was this man's stance. Another thing that kind of leans towards the fact checking that I would really, again, love to hammer, I can't hammer this home enough, is the man keeps saying that we spent $350 billion in Ukraine. It is, you can go to the website. We spent 126 billion, which of course is still a lot of money, but it's not 350. I don't know why you keep saying this. And did we spend more than Europe? No. Europe actually spent 250 billion. But I tell you this, I think the bar of the night, and this is me giving Trump his propers. The bar of the night was, turns out you didn't need a new policy. You needed a new president. Bars. I can't. That was a bar. Because if there's one thing we know Trump is good at, it's showmanship. And then lastly is Trump bragging on the fact that he's getting rid of the unelected bureaucracy, getting rid of all those bureaucrats in the government. And then the camera flashes to Elon, who is in fact an unelected bureaucrat. That made my head hurt. How the man brags on all the things that Elon has done, which was removing this government bloat and getting rid of unelected bureaucrats, done by an unelected bureaucrat. Like, is this like, you ever had somebody talk, you ever been talking to somebody and you're thinking, are you fucking with me? You're fucking with me, right? Like, what? That moment was one of those moments to me where I was like, there's no way you didn't make that connection. Anyway, so now let's talk about some facts. I think I'll start at the beginning of where he started, which was talking about the things that DOGE has done. Now, I did a video on the DOGE spending where one of the main things that he talked about, all the money that he saved, was part of it was literally a typo, where one of those government accounts was set for 8 billion when it was really 8 million. So that was one thing. There were many of these government accounts that on the Doge account they said was canceled to save money, but a couple of them things were canceled under George Bush Jr. Like, so they've been canceled. Like, this has been canceled since 2006. I don't understand why you're counting this as things that you've done. The lavish fish monitoring. Did y'all hear him talk about the lavish fish? First of all, what the hell is a lavish fish? What I'm pretty sure the script said was larval fish, because sometimes now, in his defense, reading off a teleprompter, especially for a 2-hour speech, can be a little difficult. But bruh said the Social Security thing, which got a whole lot of yucks that, oh, we got people getting checks. There's people that are 150 years old. There's people that are 250 years old. There are people that are this. They've already explained this. Like, it doesn't really take much to go find this answer, that these people are not receiving checks. Since they're not receiving checks, and you'd have to hire a guy to go through and find them all and delete them. They are just like, well, we'll just leave it there. Like, but they're not receiving any money. It's just in the document, right? In the accounting of the document, but none of them are receiving money, right? They stopped receiving money and they died. It's already been accounted for. So those aren't savings. To say that, oh yeah, we found this and we stopped sending, they weren't getting any money. So you didn't say there was nothing being saved. There's nothing being saved, right? On the Social Security's part. Now, my favorite one, which was the one I could not wait to throw a rock into, and it was the transgendered mice. Now, I am almost positive the people at Even More News took the words out of my mouth. I am almost positive that little 19-year-old that works at DOGE did an Apple F, which is just a search, like when you search a document for a certain word, you say Apple F, right? And then you find that, if you got to write a long essay, you got to look for certain things. Maybe you spelled it wrong. You just look for that, right? Or if you got to do research, you just look for a certain term. You hit an Apple F, it search the document to find that term. I'm pretty sure they look for the word trans. And when they found the word trans, they just went delete, right? Now, the transgendered mice research that he's talking about was transgenic mice, which is not transgendered. Now, what transgenic mice research is it's research where you can take genes inside of the mice and model them around the human genome to see how medicines respond to these particular genes. This is how you research for asthma, for HIV, for cancer, for AIDS, without having to get human genomes. We can transgenic, we can change the genomes that are close enough to in particular mice to model around how a human gene will respond to the medicines that we're trying to develop. They are not transgender mice. They are transgenic. Now, that's because you and I like reading. That's why we know these things, is because we read. And the last one I'll throw out here is, I don't know, Trump's and the tariffs and fentanyl. So the claim is, and I'm reading from my document here, Trump says, so much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, and we have a very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of citizens, very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody has seen anything like it. Now, here's the thing. Tariffs against Canada and fentanyl drug overdoses have zero to do with each other. The US-Canada border, how do I say this? Canada plays almost no role in the fentanyl exchange. And again, Can't stress this enough. Fentanyl is usually sold in parts, and the ingredients you can literally order from China. And if it's coming through Mexico, it's coming through legal ports because Americans go down there and get it. Why? Because you're not going to search an American's car. If you are coming to claim asylum, why the hell would you have a backpack full of fentanyl? You have to turn over your backpack. I'm just saying, just like y'all got brains. Now, this is just me pointing out, like, I'm going to link in the show notes, not hundreds, that's stupid, a bunch of different places where Trump was fact checked. I want to end this with game as to, like, why would he even do this? Next. All right. Why even do this? There's no State of the Union address. There's really no need. You've only been there for a month. You're already doing the thing that, like, the pundits have been calling flooding the zone. Why do you even need to do this? Now, I think that there's a coalition that none of us understand just yet because we haven't been shown some sort of agreement that Trump, Elon, and JD Vance have that has not been shared to us as to why their relationship is still kind of working. Because it shouldn't. The main thing I see is Elon gets to be the bad guy. So whatever negative feelings even Trump's base has, it's towards Elon. It's never towards Trump. So he set up a way that nobody will ever turn on him. And what the fuck does Elon care? There's obviously something else going on here that has to do with the money that I just ain't aware of, because there's really no reason why this relationship should work, but it's working. But why even do this? And the only thing I could come up with using my sort of political brain and sort of like kind of tough guy antennas is I have learned that narcissists always reveal their cards. Narcissists are horrible at poker. They always reveal their hand. And you just got to listen to them. They're going to tell you what their next play is, and they're going to tell you what they're insecure about all the time. What they worried people will catch on to, because they're going to keep talking about it. So what this address to Congress revealed to me is he feel like he not getting the love he thinks he should get. He feel like people are doubting whether he can deliver on his promises. He feel like we all gonna figure out the fact that these tariffs are raising our costs, that this shit is not gonna work, that this is finna tank the economy. So you got to get out in front of that. When he was just like, bear with me a little bit. Like, I know, like, let me play the game. Like, let me cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, let me cook. He's trying to tell his base, because he's not even talking to us. He ain't talking to nobody but the people that voted for him. Let me cook. Which says to me, you worried about your game plan, ain't you? You don't like the way everybody talking about pulling all these receipts with the DOGE stuff. Oh, he watches the news. The okie doke is starting to not work a little bit. So let me make sure I remind y'all who the top dog is. This, in my mind, was nothing different than Debo riding down the street in his bike and just deciding to check somebody's pockets real quick. I just need to remind y'all who the top dog is. I make my moves because I make my moves, and I need y'all to never question me. This is just a last time that I checked moment. you ain't gonna do shit type moment. This what I'm gonna do, and you ain't gonna do shit. And I dare you. Dare you to do shit. Don't worry about me, player. I got this. And I need y'all to remember that I got this. And I dare you to say something. To me, that's what this speech was about. Because you don't have to, all the stuff that he was trying to justify, he ain't got to justify. He already doing it. You don't have to explain any of this to nobody. Clearly, who is you talking to? Let's get our little yucks on when you laughing at African countries, which I almost wanted to punch this dude through the screen from that. Nobody's ever heard of that place. Just making fun of, but put that to the side. Let me just remind the homies, everything's all right, player. I got y'all. Don't worry about it. Now, the last thing I promised y'all is where I think your eyes should be at. And where I think your eyes should be at are two places: the Department of Education and the government budget, the spending bill that Speaker Mike Johnson is probably going to have to push through without any Democratic votes, which means since they have a supermajority, if you can get 100% of Republicans online for this bill, then you don't even need Democratic votes. And if you don't need Democratic votes, we got a one-party system. That's what you need to be watching out for. So that's one thing that's very important. Now, back to the Department of Education. Here's what's interesting to me. The Department of Education's, which he put the D Generation X lady in front of, that Linda McMahon in charge of, and her job is to end her job, right? I think a good way to think about that is like inside of this department is a whole lot of things they got to take care of. Now, just because the department's gone, don't mean that they still don't got to take care of those things. Now, let me dispel your myths. The Department of Education has zero control over curriculum. They don't decide what we teach in classrooms. They don't pick A through G requirements. That's not what they do. They don't select teachers. They really, there's a lot more power at the state level than you may think, or at least that they sell us. As far as like the problems with the Department of Education, the Department of Education has to do with like research and aid. So like Title I stuff, Title IX stuff, resources for like special ed. You remember some of y'all may have grew up in No Child Left Behind era where we just got freaking standardized tests till we were bleeding in our eyes, which I get what they were trying to do. It just didn't work. The idea was that America's level of excellence, for us to keep saying that we were the best in the world at everything. Well, if our test scores don't show it, if we not producing, we can't keep saying it. So believe it or not, look at me looking back at George W. Bush making a logical statement, which is like, well, we can't have the best education in the world if we don't know we have the best education in the world. So let's figure it out, right? So that was the idea. So what the Department of Education also did was to measure our success. Are we actually educating the students the way we say we educating the students? And how are we standing up against the rest of the world? And spoiler alert, we get mopped by the rest of the world. So they would test our like reading and math scores. And I'm not even counting the pandemic where we clearly sucked at, right? But that being said, the dismantling of that, it means a number of things. It means Not so much that you're going to get DEI and woke out of it, because stay with me now. You need the Department of Education to actually research and investigate whether woke is being happening in our classes. So he trying to defund the very thing that he need to do the stuff that he want to do. So that's weird, but that would mean that that program is going to go to another department if he wants to keep doing it. But it also means your child that may need an IEP or a 504 plan. Now, these are all my educators know what I'm talking about. That need accommodations, ain't gonna be no money for it. My first my first job out of college was I was an instructional aide, and it was for Title I kids. So kids that are RSP, kids that need a little more help in the classroom, right? So the teacher would teach, and then there was a few kids that I've identified with like IEPs, which are called individual education plans, that it would be another adult in the room that would sit with these 2 or 3 kids that couldn't just like see what's happening on the board and do the work. They just need a little extra help. That funding, Department of Education, for me to be able to do that. So it's another one of those situations where y'all better be careful what you ask for, because here's where you're going to feel it. Now, here's my advice to the Democratic Party. Explain that. Explain that to people. Instead of just rope-a-doping and just saying he's a, like, explain that. Explain what the Department of Education does. Explain that this is their role. So when your child comes home and he say, I don't know how to read this, and then you start complaining to the teacher like, well, can our kid get some help? The teacher can be like, well, your president that you voted for cut the funding for our reading teacher. So you gonna raise your property taxes? You gonna pay more taxes so we can get one? Because we can get it at the state level. But, oh, my bad. You've been protesting at all the superintendent meetings because you don't like all the DEI stuff. So nobody that got any sense that cares about books would want to work here anyway because they afraid of what you gonna say. So now your child can't read. But here you go. But who am I to say? So that's what I'm saying. Keep your eye on. If you can, in as much as it might be actually beneficial, see what you could do to like support your local teachers. Like, see how you can possibly like I mean, obviously if they weirdos, that's different. But like, see if there are ways you could, man, maybe you could read after school. Like, you feel me? Like, maybe you could do that. I don't know, man. Volunteer for field trips. Like, I'm talking to parents. Like, don't be like single weirdo unless you got like a little cousin, a little sister. Like, if this is your niece's school, like, you feel me? Like, man, I don't know, man. Take a day off and just like try that. Another thing you could do, maybe like you could keep your eyes on, is this immigration stuff, because the thing is, they rounding up legal immigrants also. And I can't stress this enough. ICE agents aren't cops. You don't have to tell them anything. If they don't have a warrant, you don't have to let them people in. Listen, it will hurt you in no way for you to step in front of them and be like, hey, homie, that's my neighbor. Nah, you can't go over there. Let me see the warrant, homeboy. You can be loud with them because they can't arrest you. They're not cops. What's an immigration agent gonna do to you? They give you a jaywalking ticket? They're not cops. So you can stand in front of them. But as far as our international standing, which is something that you and I really don't have much to say over, we can continue to do our best to tell people across the world that like, this man don't speak for all of us. But our soft power is really being destroyed. And that's what the USAID that I am absolutely going to put out next week because this is ridiculous. When soft power gets destroyed, here's the idea. Whether your village gets bombed or has a medical clinic, both of those things have a flag on it. So when I look at that shrapnel and it's got a USA flag on it, or when I walk into the clinic and get my vaccine and it's got a USA clinic, or it's got a USA flag on it, it will have the same effect as to what I'm going to think about this country. Did you send bombs or medicine? Who you think I'm going to be a little more inclined to help or support? The people that bombed my village or the people that helped my village? Who you think I'm going to listen to? I mean, you could just walk into a room and be like, look, last time that I checked, there was 5 chains on my neck. Or you could be like, hey, you hungry, homie? Here go a plate of food. Trump's made his choice. And we saw it in this speech. Hood politics. All right, now don't you hit stop on this pod. You better listen to these credits. I need you to finish this thing so I can get the download numbers, okay? So don't stop it yet. But listen, this was recorded in East Los Boyle Heights by your boy Propaganda. Tap in with me at prophiphop.com. If you're into cold brew coffee, we got Terraform Cold Brew. You can go there.com and use promo code HOOD, get 20% off, get yourself some coffee. This was mixed, edited, and mastered by your boy Matt Osowski, killing the beat softly. Check out his website, mattossowski.com. I'm going to spell it for you because I know. MATTOSOWSKI.com, mattossowski.com. He got more music and stuff like that on there, so go and check out the heat. Hood Politics is a member of Cool Zone Media, executive produced by Sophie Lichterman, part of the iHeartMedia Podcast Network. Your theme music and scoring is also by the one and only Matt Osowski, still killing the beat softly. So listen, don't let nobody lie to you. If you understand urban living, you understand politics. These people is not smarter than you. We'll see y'all next week.